Welcome to another video. This time we will see how we get from these laid eggs to these hatched bearded dragons. The whole project started with a call from a friend who keeps a pair of dwarf bearded dragons with the Latin name Pogona henrylawsoni. He asked if I would like to hatch the eggs. I wanted to try it. To do this, I got myself an incubator. In nature, the females dig a burrow, lay the eggs in it, and leave them to their fate. The eggs were buried to 2/3 in a bowl with vermiculite and water. Water and vermiculite should be mixed 1:1. If the eggs are placed at least 2 cm apart from each other, then it prevents the eggs from sticking together as their volume increases during incubation. The eggs need a humidity of at least 60% and temperature between 28 to 31 degrees Celsius. Females should develop at temperatures of 29 degrees Celsius or less. During incubation, it must be taken care to keep the vermiculite moist. If the eggs dry out or have not been removed from the terrarium for too long, they can be covered with damp moss for 3 days. After that, they should be sufficiently hydrated again. After 2 or 3 weeks, you can try to use a bright lamp to shine through the eggs. At first, only a few blood vessels are visible. With time, however, the embryo becomes visible. Sometimes the embryo even moves. It is important to not take the eggs out of the incubator for too long, as they cool down easily. It is also important to make sure that the eggs are placed with the same side up, otherwise the embryo may die in the egg. As a reminder, you can mark the top of the eggs with a pen. The hatching of the bearded dragons is announced by sweating 24 hours before. Then drops are visible on the eggs. The shell of the eggs becomes bruised and collapses. In my case, the eggs were incubated for a total of 50 days. When hatching, the young animal slits the eggshell from the inside with the egg tooth, which sits on the tip of the nose. The young animal loses this after hatching. After hatching, the young bearded dragons are independent. At the beginning, they are still feeding on the rest of the yolk sac. The young animals are brought into a raising tank. In this tank, the animals must be provided with a heat and UV light source. The animals need an access to water. To prevent the animals from drowning, water was offered in the lid of a PET bottle. 24 hours after hatching, the animals start to eat. Their main food source, when they are not yet fully grown, consists mainly of insects. However, they are also offered greens, vegetables and fruits. When choosing insects, make sure that they can be eaten by the bearded dragons and are not too large. The food insects are also supplemented with a vitamin and calcium powder. This and UV light prevents rickets and is very important for normal growth. The animals grow very quickly, So it is important that they get high quality food. The rearing tank shouldn't be too large. At the beginning, it's better to not use substrate and too rich terrarium furnishing, as the young animals are still rather clumsy when hunting. They could ingest too much of the substrate, which could lead to constipation and other digestive problems. The feeding insects can hide with the furnishings and even hurt the young animals at night. In general, the young bearded dragons should have as many food insects as possible in the terrarium, so that they can always eat if they want to. The animals are fed insects daily. Otherwise, they can also injure conspecifics and eat the tip of the tail or toes of their siblings. The terrarium should be kept at 23 till 25 degrees Celsius in the coolest zone. Otherwise, the temperatures of 30 to 33 degrees Celsius should be prevail. Under the heat spot, even up to 45 degrees Celsius may be reached. The humidity should be 40 till 50%. The animals show their typical behavior right from the start. Waving can often be observed. This is a gesture of appeasement. I've not yet been able to observe the dominant head nodding during the first weeks of life. Winter rest is not recommended in the first year of life, as energy is mainly used for growth and there are no reserves yet.